It's Rome and welcome to another episode of Homefront. And with us today, we have a very, very special guest because he is usually accustomed being on this side of the table. Ladies and gentlemen, I welcome Mr. Fazeer Mohammed, one of Trinidad and Tobago's top morning show hosts. Fazeer, welcome.
Good to be on the show, Rome. Good to be on the show.
So Fazeer, first of all, let me ask you, you're feeling a bit weird being on this side of the table?
Well, it happens once in a while. I mean, every so often people just want to get different perspectives and so on. So it should be an interesting one.
Well, I must say it is a pleasure interviewing one of television's legends in terms of media personalities. You have paved the way and now I'm here interviewing you. So, my pleasure.
Well, all the mama gism helps.
So, first of all, we have to interview on Zoom because you're not here in Trinidad and Tobago. Where are you?
I'm actually in Sri Lanka watching the West Indies struggle in another test series away from home. So it's something that I enjoy, and in fact, left up to me, this is what I would be doing all the time. But I get it every now and then to do some cricket coverage, so I always take advantage of it when I get the chance.
Okay, so you prefer the cricket coverage, being a cricket commentator versus a morning show host?
All the time. Left up to me, I wouldn't be doing any morning show. I'd be doing cricket all the time.
All right. And that's why we brought you, because I know you talk plain. Like if you come from Piaco Airport, you give us plain. We love that.
Indeed.
So, Fazeer, in terms of Sri Lanka, what is the atmosphere like? I know the pandemic has hit the entire world. What is the place like? Is it that people are fearful of COVID? Are they wearing a mask? Are there mandates? What is taking place across there?
Well, Sri Lanka is probably a good example because they are exactly like us climate-wise, as far as where they are located in the Indian subcontinent. They have exactly the same sort of climate temperature. It's a much larger island. Their population is 21 million, 21.5 million, which is 15 times our population. I was just looking at the numbers a couple of days ago. Their death toll is 14,232. They had 27 the day before. And compared to us, we have just over 2,000. So if you look at it comparatively, our death toll is way higher. Right. Their total number of 560,000, and the last couple of days they had 740 cases. But there seems to be serious protocols. Everybody wearing masks in public, and in fact, they are now in the process of administering booster shots because a lot of people who I'm involved with in the cricket commentary, they were telling me that, look, they have to go for their booster shot today, or their mother took theirs yesterday. And so they seem to be well ahead as far as the whole vaccination protocol.
Right. And Fazeer, you have been someone that has interviewed a lot of different people from all different walks of life. And we have this theory where we are sort of in bubbles, where the vaccinated people hang out with other vaccinated people, they go back to vaccinated families, and the unvaccinated people similarly are in their bubbles as well. How have you seen this thing unfold over the past couple of years where you have been interviewing people of different walks of life, and now with a pandemic, why do you think Trinidad and Tobago has this sort of vaccine hesitancy?
Well, there are a number of reasons for that, Rome, because spend about 5 segments talking about that, because this country, for all of the benefits of education and so on, we believe stupidness, like many other societies. We fall for all sorts of nonsense. Sadly, people who have all the evidence in front of them choose not to follow it because of either some sort of political loyalty or ethnic loyalty or whatever. And sadly, we are paying the price of lives. And I don't think it's my job to contradict you as a person interviewing me, but it's in separate bubbles. Well, if we were in separate bubbles, no one would be dying because the vaccinated sure that they are properly staying together. The unvaccinated would be dealing with their own issues, but even those who are vaccinated are dying as well. So the problem is we have a serious issue in Trinidad and Tobago with actually being disciplined, and we're paying that with our lives right now.
And as you mentioned, discipline, our watchwords. discipline, tolerance, production. We know that we always get hit hard in terms of our production as a country, as a people, as Trinbagonians. But you mentioned discipline, and what about tolerance?
Well, discipline, I think we fall short on tolerance. We have plenty tolerance because we tolerate a lot of foolishness. There are two ways you could take tolerance, because tolerance could mean just that you are willing to allow things to happen as intolerant, or tolerance could mean I tolerate you rather than I respect you. And I really don't believe we should have tolerance as a watchword at all. We should have respect as a watchword. Discipline, which we don't have much of, production, which we don't have much of, and maybe respect, which we could probably try to have as if we're really trying to build a serious, productive, forward-looking society.
It comes naturally to us. Unstoppable energy. We use it to manifest a future. A future where energy takes new forms and is used in new ways for all of us. The new age of energy is here.
As if we're really trying to build a serious, productive, forward-looking society.
And Fazeer, in terms of the past couple of years, you have been doing your morning show, and you have had a lot of different interesting interviews over those years. People in very, very high places you would have interviewed. And over the past couple of years, have you seen our society itself change at all in terms of those? We're watching the three watchwords with the discipline, tolerance, production, and you mentioned as well respect. Have you seen Trinidad and Tobago society change?
Change for the worse. And not change for the better, because unfortunately the whole attitude seems to be about, if you don't agree with me, then I'm going to victimize you, I'm going to target you. If it is that I have a particular point of view and you disagree with me, then I am out to get you. Then we have this very confrontational manner, and some people might be saying, well, look who talking, use the most confrontational manners, have insulting people and so on. Well, the point is that I feel I have a role to perform in trying to get to the truth. And for a lot of people are uncomfortable with the truth. People are not really interested in the truth. They're interested in hearing what they want to hear. And that I think is the problem we have in Trinidad and Tobago and the wider world. You know, with social media and all of these things, people only listen to or follow people who they like because they say things they want to hear. And as a result of that, whenever somebody offers something different or says something that you might find you disagree with, automatically you adopt a defensive posture rather than being willing to listen to the merits of that particular argument. So it seems that we're getting more and more polarized rather than being willing to listen and broaden our understanding of different situations.
Is it that your direct approach in interviewing, in terms of your interview style, where you are very, very direct, and you, as we would say in Trinidad and Tobago, you don't put water in your mouth to say anything? Is that intentional for entertainment purposes, or is that how you really feel when you interview someone?
I suppose there might be a bit of entertainment in it because you're mindful that you have an audience and you want to ensure you keep it interesting by asking direct questions. But I think I've always been more or less that kind of person, because I don't believe in beating around the bush. One of the things is that, as in this interview, there's limited time. So if I'm interviewing somebody and people want to know ABC, and you going on with D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, I will say, Chief, I want to find out about ABC.
Right.
We have little to get to the point.
Right.
Because to me is one, if it's one thing you can't ever get back, is time. So if you come to waste time dancing around the issue, then I think it's my job to remind you that we're here to talk about ABC, not all the alphabet.
Well, let me not waste no time and dance around the question, because I want to hit you with one of your kind of jabs in terms of schools reopening. A lot of talk on the ground is whether the school should reopen or not, based on the caseload of Trinidad and Tobago with COVID-19 and all that. What's your take on this?
Well, if we are ready, if we can put all the protocols in place, then yes, schools should be open. If we're not ready, if we're not serious, because again, it depends on who you listen to. You hear the Ministry of Education say that they have things under control. You talk to tutor says something totally different. So who do you believe? Do you believe people who want to believe all kind of superstitious foolishness? Do you believe the ministry? Do you believe government because government's supposed to be the authority? Do you listen to tutor because tutor are the teachers on the ground? If we have things in place, then yes, we should be opening schools because then all the protocols would be in place. Then it would be an environment that is controlled. If we don't, then we can't. Then you can't. It's as simple as that. Because then you'll be putting children at risk. You'll be putting the parents, teachers, and so on at risk. So really, the real question is, are we really satisfied that we have everything in place? And if the answer is yes, then we should open schools. If we don't, then we shouldn't.
And then now, on that same note, that would be schools. But what about reopening the country as a whole? The beaches, the rivers have not been open. Carnival next year, the event sector has not been open. What is your take on living with the virus and opening up the country and just moving ahead versus using the lockdown measures to contain the spread?
Well, again, I mean, whatever you might think of the government, I think the government they're in a monkey pants because both the PNM and the UNC for decades have perpetuated irresponsible behavior. We see it going on right now in the lead up to the THA elections, where basically all of the issues of protocols and safety and so on, that gone down the drain for the sake of party loyalty. So the issue about opening the country isn't so much about whether or not we have enough vaccines or whether we have all the protocols in place, is whether or not we as a people are disciplined enough to follow the rules and regulations. I mean, when the Prime Minister last year made the mistake of saying on a Saturday that rivers and beaches are going to be closed on the Monday, you knew what happened on the Sunday. Every Tom, Dick, and goes on the beach or in a river line because everybody feels they must have a last lap. And if we are so indisciplined that you feel you can't live without a line, without a river line, without some kind of line somewhere, then we would not be able to live with COVID. But if we learn to be disciplined, then we could probably be able to go to the beach, go to the river, go to have dinner, go out and whatever, and be able to be safe. But from the moment we continue to, and from the fact that we continue to behave this way, with all these Zesa parties all over the place, all kind of hours during curfew, and which people seem to see something to boast about, that, you know, I break the law, I break the rules, and I get away with it, and so on. Then we will not be able to live with it, unfortunately.
But you know, in the society that we have and the cases that we have now, if you were in the position to make that call, what would you have done?
I would never be in that position, because being in that position means being a politician, and I have no intentions of being a politician. The thing is that if, let's just say by some mistake, I was to be in any position of authority, I would have probably mandatory vaccination. If it is that you don't want to abide by it, well, then you have to suffer the consequences of not being able to work, not being able to go to XYZ place or whatever, because the greater good is what matters. Because we continue to function where people are not working, not earning revenue, the economy is stagnating. People have to earn a livelihood and so on. And we can't go on like this. But if people continue to believe in some kind of semi-demi foolishness about Bill Gates and who think with the vaccine and whatever kind of thing, then we're going nowhere. We should realize, Rome, that science and logic doesn't work in a place like Trinidad and Tobago, because people are too preoccupied with either their party loyalties, their ethnic loyalties, or just plain stupidness. So if I was in charge, I probably would have been assassinated the day after I made my announcement.
Well, we hope not. We hope not, Fazeer. We hope not, because we want to still have you around to give us the great cricket commentary and to give us your morning show, right? On that note, we're going to take a small break as we take a deep breath in, breathe in the positivity, and breathe out the negativity in our mindfulness moment. When we come back, we're going to touch base with Fazeer some more.
Hi, and welcome to our Mindful Moment. I want to talk a little bit about what happens to our brains when we feel overwhelmed. So in order to do this, I'm going to use my model of the brain in the palm of my hand. This comes from Dr. Dan Siegel. So the part of the brain that controls our emotions is called the limbic system, and there is my thumb. And this is where it really propels us to think that we're under danger. It's one of the oldest parts of the brain. And it really gets us to, into fight or flight mode. So this is when we're anxious, we feel, our heart is racing, etc. There are times where this is important, like if we're under threat, if a dog is coming to get us. But often there are times where it's activated and we feel stressed where we're not actually under direct threat. And so we need to activate the other part of the brain, the part that is folded over, and this is called the prefrontal cortex. This is the higher centers of the brain. It helps us with paying attention, with focusing, and with things like knowledge and perception. So when we feel that we're overwhelmed, we call this our brain has flipped, our lid has flipped. And breathing slowly to bring our lids back down activates the prefrontal cortex and gets us focused and paying attention in the moment. When we tell our nervous system we're not under direct threat, we can see clearly where we need to go. So remember to use this technique. When your lid is flipped, breathe the lid back down and be here now.
It's Rome, and we are here. We're chilling with the boys. We're liming with the kids. We're doing this all for the PED CARES Foundation. So we need you at home watching us to go donate, donate, donate. Head over to the pedcares.org and send that donation, whether it's via credit card, direct transfer, because we want to make sure that the kids of our pediatric emergency department get the best possible care that they can get, because we need to take care of the next generation. The future lies with the kids. You all ready? On three, we go and say yeah. 1, 2, 3.
Yay!
Yay! The PED CARES Foundation. And we hope that that mindfulness moment would have relaxed you a bit to deal with an interview with Fazeer Mohammed as we get live and direct. So Fazeer, I've admired your career over the past couple of years, and you had some great interviews. So in your opinion, which one was one of your favorite interviews?
You know, I was, after being aware of the question, I was trying to go through my mind as to favorite interviews and so on. To be honest with you, I can't really come up with one automatically that sticks out, because people might think, you know, the interview with the Prime Minister, or the interview with a great sports personality, or maybe some controversial thing where you and somebody almost had a cuss out or whatever.
Right.
There's so many interviews you do, you know, as part of the job, because I've been doing morning shows for about, 14 years now. So there's a lot of interviews tied into there. So I think the one that actually comes up to mind automatically is an interview I did with an under 17 games 400-meter hurdler. I can't remember the young lady, but she was so full of enthusiasm and positivity compared to my usual negativity and aggression. Kind of one that comes to mind automatically. But it's counterbalance when you have somebody that you could interview who has some youthful energy and optimism and that sort of thing. So that's the one that comes to mind right away.
That stood out. And Fazeer, we have interviewed a lot of people in terms of COVID-19 and how it has affected them. A lot of the times we covered how it affected the kids, how it affected the women, how it affected the elderly. But we didn't really go too deep into how it affected the men in Trinidad and Tobago. And you being a man, one of the male standout boisterous speakers, how did it affect you?
Well, I don't know how much you would want to identify me as a quintessential or typical Trini man, because I don't fet, I don't lime, I don't care for Carnival. If Carnival get cancelled in 2022, it really make a difference to me. I don't engage in the social activities that are considered to be the quintessential Trini male sort of thing. But as far as how it has affected me, I would say it's hardly affected me at all, because my lifestyle is one which is basically centered around the family, centered around my work. And as you would realize, media activities have really been impacted by COVID. In fact, if it's anything, there's more focus on the work of the media. I'm also involved in a family business. And even though we were closed for a while last year, which would have affected us economically, of course, we have to be grateful. And it's one of the things that I have learned from this experience, is that for all of the challenges, for all of the different issues, for all of the challenges that may be yet to come, I am in a fortunate position. I have to say that I am grateful for the support of my wife, my children, my family. We are grandparents now. We have 2 grandsons. We have a family business that is doing well. I'm involved in the media. So as far as compared to so many other people in Trinidad and Tobago who are really suffering, who are really facing hardship. And so whatever little setbacks I would have had are minor, are irrelevant compared to so many other people are experiencing in Trinidad and Tobago. So in that context, I would say it really hasn't affected me at all.
Like that. And in terms of Trinidad and Tobago, being a country as small as we are, we already have a lot of division. We have division by race. You would see the Africans versus the East Indians versus what people term the 1%ers. We have division based on religion. You have division based on politics. And now we have division based on vax versus unvax. So how do you see our society unfolding after this pandemic? Do you think with this whole thing we would come together, or do you think this entire thing is going to divide us even further apart?
Well, the evidence is right now is dividing us even further apart. Just a couple of days ago, I heard, all this way here in Sri Lanka, I heard a couple of people who I know quite well in our community, Nelson Kora, passed away from COVID, and they weren't vaccinated, and now they are gone, and they leave their families behind and so on. So it's really tragic. And this is the thing, Ro. You would think that people would put aside all of their issues and their biases and whatever else it is, whether people see this one as a UNC or a PNM, or this one is an Indian, this one is an African, this one is a Chinese, this one is a Syrian, that and whatever, and really say, look, put all of that aside and let's look at health, wellness, safety, well-being, taking care of the most vulnerable in our society and so on. But nothing has changed. If you listen to, in fact, it's gotten worse. If you listen, and I mean, I don't mean to be coming down with the negative, because I know you want to have your positive, inhaling your positivity and so on. But I don't know what else needs to happen for people to realize that we need to come together as a society doing the right thing for all of us, not for 1 or 2 of us, because in the same way globally, we see what is happening now with this Omicron variant of the vaccine. Once it touches one place, it touches the rest of the world. In the same way in Trinidad and Tobago, if one part of our society remains very vulnerable to COVID-19, all of us are impacted by it. And yet still, you still hear the dialogue, you still hear me about him with he, me about him with she, me care about what them say and all that kind of thing. Even though people are presenting evidence, people are presenting the science, there's too much belief in foolishness and too much preoccupation with division rather than working together. And that is really a worry.
Yeah. So Fazeer, we know that it is almost probably after midnight there in Sri Lanka, and we know you're ready to go in your bed and sleep. So we want to thank you very much for joining us. For me personally, it has been a pleasure interviewing you, having you on that other side of the table. So thanks very much, Fazeer. This has been Homefront. My name is Rome. We are here at the Dwellings in this beautiful, beautiful setting. We want to thank very much our friends at the PED CARES Foundation. So make sure you go to their website and donate so we can help the kids. Have a good evening, have a good night, have a good morning, wherever in the world you are watching us right here on Homefront. Thank you. Welcome to another episode of Homefront. It's Rome, and thank you all very much for joining us. As you didn't know, with JP, yes, come back again.